Good morning. Welcome to Open Hand Farm. My name is Penny and I am so glad you're here. First of all, I want to say that we probably could continue doing this challenge and maybe go a couple more months. But at this point, we would have to cook things differently than we're used to cooking them because some of our ingredients are gone, and that would be okay if we were in a situation that we had to continue eating from our pantry, but we are blessed that we don't have to do that right now. I think there will come a time in the future that we might have to do that. But for now, it's a good practice to do the pantry challenge to see what we are lacking and what we could live with or could live without. So let me tell you about the 5 things that I learned during this challenge. One of the things I've learned is I realize what foods we need to have more of on hand if we want to eat the foods we really enjoy while eating from the pantry. I'm going to tell you what these foods are, and this is in no particular order. Let's start off with fresh fruit. I craved oranges and pears, and we had apples, but I got tired of them. We should have had more dried fruits on hand, like figs and pineapples and apricots, and definitely more nuts. These were all the items that we snacked on that you didn't see, I didn't video, and we ran out. But I also definitely needed more items when it came to baking and cooking. So before the challenge started, I made sure I had oils on hand because I had seen other people doing the challenge and they said that was something that they ran out of. Well, I had plenty of coconut oil, avocado oil, and olive oil. What I was lacking was ghee and butter. I love those. We ran out of ghee at the end of January, and we only had 1 stick of butter left at the end of the challenge. We started with 12 pounds of salted butter and 4 pounds of unsalted butter. I now realize that I could have used coconut oil instead of butter in some of the recipes I made, but I had no idea I would come so close to using all of that butter. We also started January with 3 5-gallon buckets of flour, and we ended up with about 1/4 of a bucket left. I knew I would use a lot of flour because I did a lot of baking, but I didn't realize I would use 75 pounds worth. Now, we did have a few onions left and a couple bulbs of garlic, so obviously we would need to up our game plan there if we were to continue cooking in a flavorful way. Now let's talk cheese. Oh my gosh, we all love cheese, and many of the recipes I used had cheese in them. When January started, we had 3 2-pound blocks of Tillamook, so 6 pounds of Tillamook cheddar from Costco, as well as 4 8-ounce blocks of mozzarella from Azure, and 3 8-ounce blocks of white cheddar from Azure, as well as a tub of Parmesan cheese. We ended up with 1/3 of a block of Tillamook and a partial container of Parmesan cheese left. If we were going to do this any longer and wanted to continue using cheesy recipes, we would definitely need to have more cheese on hand. Or maybe we just need to cut down on the amount of cheese we eat. And sea salt. I had about 20 ounces when we started a challenge, and I thought, oh, that's no big deal. We can do this. And I ended up with about 1/4 of a teaspoon at the end. I do have pink Himalayan salt on hand, but I usually use the sea salt for baking. There were 2 things that surprised me, and that was how we used up so much popcorn and cornmeal. I had about 2/3 of a gallon jar of each of those. And I used the cornmeal to make cornbread several times, including 2 double batches for 2 community dinners. And the popcorn was used for snacking, and it was so good to have on hand. I would pop a couple pans of it and store it in Ziploc bags, and we would all eat out of them. The second thing I realized is how much we get into a routine in our lives and just do the jobs at hand without really thinking about them and appreciating them like we should. Normally, I would just run to the kitchen at a mealtime, grab what I needed, make a meal while thinking of the next job at hand while I did it. And I would continually add quick and easy foods we like to eat to the Alexa shopping list as we ran out. Since I was videotaping most of the meals, I was able to slow down, think about where my food came from, how it was preserved, how I could prepare it, as well as remember when it was preserved and the garden it came from. It really opened my eyes to how much we had and how much would go to waste if we continue to add to that shopping list instead of taking from our pantry and our freezer every day. The third thing is, now that the official challenge is over, I'm able to look at my shelves and see what is beneficial to spend my time preserving every year and what isn't. There are empty spaces where jars were sitting when we started the challenge. I'm able to see that we need to preserve more canned items like Chipotle black beans, potatoes, tomato soup, and zuppa. I could stand to freeze more mashed potatoes, sweet peppers, and poblano peppers. I also want to challenge myself to make pasta to have on hand. I made it one day, and it was a lot to make the same day you want to use it. I would like to have some on the pantry shelf or in the freezer to be used as needed. One thing we did not preserve through the summer was eggs. I so wish we would have water-glassed eggs. Over these past 2 months, our girls were not laying, and we had to actually buy eggs. They started laying better a couple weeks into February. This summer, we will definitely be water glassing eggs. While looking at our shelves, I also see that we don't need any more cream of chicken soup made this year. And we don't need any more split pea soup made either. Although soup was a great addition to the challenge, I will come up with a couple different types of soup to replace those. We also don't need quart jars of salsa verde. I would have used more salsa verde if I didn't have to open a quart jar. I'm the only one that really eats it in my family. So if I do make salsa verde, I will make half pint jars or pint jars. And I might even try opening some of those quart jars and recanning them into smaller jars. We have jars of apple slices and applesauce that haven't really been touched. We seem to like dehydrated apples better. So I will make sure to dehydrate more next year instead of canning them. I also question the number of pumpkin plants I need to plant this year, considering we have so many squash and pumpkins still on our shelves. Now, some of those were bought at a produce auction, but we grew many of them. Number 4, I realized that even with all the preserved food I had, there were items that I missed that I really can't preserve and had to be bought if we were to have them. I really missed the cool crunch of lettuce. I made some sprouts and I used them on tacos and sandwiches, and they were good, better than I expected. Just not the same. I realized how much I missed salad when we went to a church date night and salad was on the menu. You would have thought it was cheesecake, you guys. The way I was excited over it and went back for seconds. It was so good. We did buy some greens in the form of spinach and arugula because I really like both of those. But I did not use them as a salad so that I could conserve using them. Instead, they went on tacos or added as a green to different plates, like under my sausage and eggs in the mornings. We also missed fresh fruit like oranges and pears. We did have apples, but that gets old after a while. We did buy a bag of cutie oranges in January. They were such a treat. I can remember getting a tangerine in my stocking when I was a little girl, and I always thought, this is ridiculous. We eat these all the time. My parents got oranges in their stockings, and it was a delight. Now I see how they felt when they saw that beautiful sweet orange in their stocking. What a blessing. As a people, many of us have come to eat whatever we want, whenever we want it, and nothing is special anymore. That is so sad. Yogurt is another thing I missed. I never dreamed I would miss plain Greek yogurt. I did buy a container from Azure, but it went too fast. I also missed fresh tomatoes, even if they were greenhouse tomatoes. We did have some cherry tomatoes when the challenge started, but we've not had any since. That will be one of the first things I buy. And the fifth and final thing I learned is that I realized that when preparing for a pantry challenge, we needed to prepare for more than just me and Mark. After all, eating from our pantry doesn't mean we can't provide for loved ones, sick friends, and our community. We were put here to love. We can't love completely if we are not willing to share. During the months of January and February, I feel like we experienced the miracle of fish and loaves in the Bible. Mark and I not only fed ourselves from our pantry, but we were able to have 5 family dinners, which included my son and his family and our daughter, who lives in an apartment behind us. So that's 5 extras. We had 2 family dinners that included all 4 of our children and their children. So that was 14 extras. We had 2 community dinners, 2 ladies' coffee groups. We provided dinner for 4 friends and their families, as well as a meal for our youth group at church. That was a total of 154 extra people. That did not include bread for a funeral dinner, a potluck at church, and taking food to our Bible study every Tuesday night. I am not telling you this to brag. Please don't think that. I am telling you this because I think it is important that if we are going to preserve food, we need to realize that there are times we will need to share. I believe there may come a time that eating from our pantry is necessary because times are hard and not because Jessica has challenged us to do so. I challenge you to not only preserve for your family, but think about those that you might need to feed if times do get hard. My goal is to preserve in a way that I can bless others, and I hope your goal is the same. Thanks so much for watching today and throughout the challenge. This has been an incredible 2 months. There were days I felt like someone didn't want me to do this. I got COVID in the first week and then strep throat. I've had days when I didn't think I could get a video published because whatever could go wrong with my computer did. I didn't say anything in the videos about this, but I have also been struggling with low energy and severe muscle and bone pain due to a vitamin D deficiency. I am now on high doses of vitamin D to combat that, and I'm starting to feel better just in time for garden season. It has been a challenge in many ways, but the thing that got me through were your comments and your words of encouragement. I cannot tell you how special you are to me. Thank you for continuing to support me and my channel. You are all a blessing to me. So until next time, I pray a blessing on you.